Hey, Josh Lockhart here, and I am with my good buddy, the Priest, Dylan Priest, and we're going to talk about selling between the two of us. We have made two sales totaling about $1.2 million of commissions over the last couple weeks. I'm gonna, Dylan takes the cake. He's got the bigger one. So if we're measuring, based on this fictitious, you know, scenario I just made up, he would win. So yeah, you made a sale of $900,000 of commissions, which I don't know anybody personally, I should say, that has done that. And mine was a little bitty $250,000 of commissions. Now, we have been selling life insurance for a number of years. Me probably a little bit longer. Um, and we've sold final expense, mortgage protection, IULs, life, just basic life insurance. We've kind of done it all. What would you say your average sale is, like, commission wise?
Average sale commission wise, we'll just take out this one because that
Yeah,
skews everything up.
yeah.
I would say probably without looking at everything right now, probably about 200 to 300 a month. It's probably a good average, and then you get
Okay.
those big ones here and there.
Yeah, so in life insurance, you get paid on the annual premium. So that's like, let's just call it $2,500.
Yeah,
Right? Is like the average sale. I'd say, yeah, about the same for me. And so when we're talking about $250,000, 900, like, that is not what people are normally doing, but it is available. And we're going to talk about it, what you can do to increase the odds of when you come across a deal like this, what you can do to not mess it up.
I know what you can to mess it up.
Yeah, exactly. And so I will say right out of the gate, I mean, I remember early on in my career, like, if I would have been presented with an opportunity to do something like that, I wouldn't have known where to go. I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what to say, and I probably would have just been freaking out. Um, and so I think first and foremost is you have to uh, you've been in sales a long time, right? You have to detach the numbers from your feelings, and we used to say, don't sell with your own wallet, right?
Yeah,
And if you're broke, it's hard to imagine that somebody is spending even, a couple $100 a month on insurance when maybe you don't even have anybody or have any because you can't afford it. And I know for a lot of new folks, right, it's like you start getting, you're like, well, I wouldn't buy that. And so you're showing them options that you would buy, which not necessarily is what they need, right? Like, do you ever remember
yeah.
feeling that way?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think I still feel that way sometimes. I like to call it commission breath because you just
Yeah.
you get so excited that you can just taste it coming off of your breath when you're just spewing to the client. So
Yeah.
happens all the time.
I would say for the most part, I've been able to get to a place where I just, it's all just numbers, you know. Now, if I was in a different, if you threw me in a big real estate deal, like, I don't know real estate, you know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
I would probably have those feelings, but insurance wise, I've done it long enough. It's like, it's just numbers, you know what I mean? Some people, some big policy, little policy, it is what it is, and you don't want to get too excited about anything until the money's in your bank account. I think that'd be lesson number two,
That
right?
yeah, I'm getting a lot of attention from this, but like
Yeah,
I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's two things I tell people. It's like I'm excited that I was able to have the conversation and push it to where I need it to go, but it still has to get approved. It still has to go through underwriting. There's a lot
lots
of
of underwriting,
variables that we
lots
can't
of
even
underwriting.
control. Yep.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so, yeah, we don't want to, like, obviously, we want to get excited that we have the opportunities to do this. What I love about, what we do is, yeah, like, I just literally 2 minutes before we got off the phone here, one of my clients called me and we set them up with two final expense policies, whole life. That's what they wanted. It was like $40 a month. You know what I mean? A very
Yeah.
small sale, but they got it. They're approved. I'm going to get paid my shekels. and we're off to the races. But I like to have the opportunity that, I'm not whale chasing. Like, I'm not going at every single deal I'm going after is not these big things, but I do have, enough opportunities that if one of these opportunities does land, it's going to make my month or my year. And that's exciting to just know that you have that opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any other industry. I came from mortgages where you have that opportunity to have scalable conversations. It's not like I'm working any different leads. I'm just working different conversations within the same leads.
Yeah.
Everyone can have access to online. It's just, yeah, I don't know what other what other industry where you can have those opportunities to do something like that. It's
Yeah. I mean, I used to be in
flabbergasting.
the B2B space, and so like everything, I mean, you could have some bigger size cases and deals, but like everything was long sales cycle too. Right? So it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, I got this opportunity, but it might not be for 6 months, and that tends to be the case. The bigger the case size is, they're going to spend a lot of money. They maybe want to check it out a few more times.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why I love what we do, is because we can talk to somebody. A lead fills out something. We have a bunch of appointments today. We'll sell a bunch of policies. We'll get paid right away. But then you can have these bigger conversations, and when they do land, like it's very exciting.
Yes.
So I'm glad you prefaced that. So we'll preface that. Both of these deals that we've done, they are not approved yet. They're going through underwriting. There is a lot of underwriting, and we can kind of jump into that, what that looks like. I can talk. Mine's probably a little bit different than yours, of what's involved in that, and it's good to know. But then we're gonna simplify it, because I, you and I haven't talked about your case. I know my case was a little bit more involved. There's some things to know, but it's also not rocket science. You don't have to shy away from it. I remember getting started with final expense, and I switched to mortgage protection. I was like, oh, it's mortgage protection. I don't know why. I just had it built up in my mind. And then it was the same thing for IULs, and it was the same thing for annuities. Walk us through. Yeah, what did you sell? What was the situation? And this was a lead, so let everybody
Yeah.
know
So
kind of
this
what that was.
Yeah, so this is a lead that just was generated online through social media. They were looking for IULs. Nothing crazy on marketing. It's just like, hey, are you looking for like permanent coverage? With an IUL that does death benefit, living benefits, permanent gross cash
Like a
value,
Yeah, it was
right?
like a life insurance first type ad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
same
Like
same.
most people are running. Yeah. The guy, we had a kind of a two-part conversation with this. The initial conversation we had was actually more about just the education of how an IUL works, and you wanted to put like something small, like $1,000 a month into it. But then we had to get off because he was a truck driver, so he had to go. He had some other things going on. He actually had his own business uh, with quite a bit of trucks. And when we met the second time, that's when we started. We lightly touched back over everything again, just so you can get front of mind. But then I found out that he was super, super sick of being with his 401k. And I'll preface this. This is, and you could probably attest to this, Josh, but what I'm about to say is probably very, very abnormal for anyone to do, nor would I ever suggest this, but it's a way different situation.
Yeah.
He wanted to take all of his money from his 401k because he was sick of the market losses, and he was also sick of not being able to access it when he wanted to without penalized and being taxed. So he was willing to pay the penalty up front, knowing that when he moved everything over, he would have the longevity of it, being able to pull from it when he needs to for other business ventures without having to worry about like um, not probate, but penalties and taxes because it's technically a loan against himself. So we went through all of that, and he was fine with it. And I really, really tried to steer him more towards the fixed index annuity because I don't like having
Yeah.
clients get taxed on that, right? But he was one of those way off situations that I don't even know how to speak on that part, but because I'm not a tax guy. But
Yeah, well, yeah. There's a bunch of stuff there, and there's a bunch of moving parts that can come into play, and things that you
mhm,
can do. People talk about Roth conversions all the time, and that's essentially what it is. Like I have a Roth and an IRA, and it's like, yeah, I can take out money from my IRA, essentially pay the taxes on it, um, and put it into a tax-free vehicle. And essentially what I'm doing is like I'm paying taxes now, and if my thought is taxes are going to go up in 10, 20 years when I go to retire, which they probably will, I'd rather pay it lower now versus paying a higher tax then. And that's the thing that's, like people online are always like, it's always got to be this way. And like, I'm with you. I tell people all the time, don't like keep doing your 401k, especially if you're getting a match.
Mm-hmm.
But like personal finance, we all like to talk about what is the best mathematical way to do things. But, like sometimes you get people that are like, I don't want to buy term invest the difference. I want whole life, and that's what I want. And um, I love to educate clients, but at the end of the day, like I'm also not going to argue with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be like, well, here's the benefits of this, here's the benefits of that, and they're like, well, that's what I want. Or sometimes people are like, yeah, I want term. I don't like that whole life crap. Cool, no
Yep.
problem. You know, so I think that's like maybe a portion of it, right? Like educate, um, but you don't also are not going to like argue with somebody that like this is how
No.
I want because the market freaks me out and I don't want to take that risk. And you could be like, well, the market's averaged and history says it's like, yeah, but I'm losing sleep at night and I hate it.
Yep.
Okay,
All
fine.
right. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that like touching back on agents and people shopping with their own wallet and their own emotions. It's just like it doesn't make sense to us sometimes, but to the client it does. If that's what they want to do, then great. We're not going to argue with them. And as long as we're being truthful and factual with them, there's nothing wrong with doing what they want to do because as long as you told them what could possibly happen, all the implications on it,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, for sure. So now, so how did it go with like, hey, $1,000 a month to, I don't even know what he's funding it with. Lots of money.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. So we started with just going through the process of just asking how much is comfortable for him per month, low end, high end, and then asking him if he ever had a 401k or if he was looking at any lump sums. And the second call when we got into it, that thousand, because at that point in time we were sharing an illustration, so I was actually showing him the numbers, and so he goes, "Well, since I'm not contributing to my 401k anymore with this, we're going to go ahead and just how if I put 10 grand a month into this?" I was like, "Oh, sure." Here's 10 grand. And then he goes, and I also want to move my 401k over. And I'm like, okay, well, how much is in your 401k that you want to move over? It's like 3.5 million. I'm like, oh, okay,
Okay.
cool. Very hard to keep emotions because you're just like, one, you don't know if they're BSing you or if they're just, you have no idea yet. So went through all the numbers, the illustration, everything looked good. And he was ready to start right then and there. But of course, I had to be like, hey, it's going to take a couple of weeks because you have to pull out your 401k. You have to also, we have to pass suitability. We got to go through underwriting and pull medical. So are you okay with them doing medical? We're not going to, nothing going to get charged for it, but still have to get it done just because the sheer amount, he's only 41, but the sheer amount
Yeah.
of death benefit. Because like if he, like where else can you pay 3.5 million into something and then if something happens you get 52 million like like blows my mind. And
Yeah.
the fact that we can do that is just because insurance companies have been around for hundreds of years. Like
Wow. That's crazy. That's
it
crazy.
is
So yeah, I mean, fully underwritten medical exams. You probably had to fill out a financial supplement form.
not there
They're
yet,
gonna,
but we will. Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna want to know why are you doing this? What is
Hmm.
this needed? Yeah, all that stuff. So yeah, okay. Now,
Probably a couple
m-
month process.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Maybe 6 weeks if he gets everything
Depending.
done quickly. Well, yeah, well then you got the financial part of it. So my situation, same thing. It was a social media lead, you know what I mean? And the guy he's had an IUL for a long time. He was looking for, he wanted to look into IULs again. And it starts off, he was very like stern. Yep, I want to put $3,333 a month into one. I was like, that's a very specific amount.
Very specific.
And I remember saying, we're going through, and I was like, all right, so you got $3,300 a month to play with. He's like, I'm not playing. It's like, oh, okay. And I remember I replied something to the effect of, I was like, yeah, forgive me. You know what I mean? That was a figure of speech. I know you're not playing. I'm a business owner too. I don't play with my finances. So like, let's get to it. And so we kind of got down to business. And then I find out in our conversation, I was like, okay, that's a specific amount. Like, why that amount? And then that led to, oh, well, I'm business partners in this company, and we have 4 owners. We're looking, the business is growing. We're looking to sell it in 10 years, or yeah, 5 years, for millions and millions of dollars. And I want to make sure all the owners are covered. I was like, oh, okay. So now we're talking about, is this buy sell? Is this key man? Which, if you don't know what those things are, you're like, okay, you lost me. Now, am I an expert in these fields? No. But have I, done my homework, know what they are, and know the resources? Yes. So it's like, those are things you should at least know that they exist, right?
Hmm.
And so, key man is, hey, I own a company. Dylan, I depend on him, as an integral part of the business. And if I lose Dylan, that's going to really hurt me financially because he carries the weight around here. I want to take a policy out on him. Buy sell is me and Dylan, but we're partners in a business. And if something happens to me, right, he's got to deal with my wife. He doesn't want to deal with my wife. I don't want to deal with his wife. Um, and so we take out a policy out on each other. And so if something happens to me, the business is going to get paid, and he can use that money to buy out my spouse, vice versa, right? And so there was 4 owners, and they wanted key man policies on everybody. So it was interesting. We're talking about an IUL, and I was like, kind of explaining to him, like, max funded, what this is. Like, is this really gonna, is this the thing that you want? And so it went from $3,300 a month, and I'm like, he's like, no, I'm not buy sell. And I was like, okay, it's either this or this or this. And I'm talking to him pretty stern, just the facts, very, very cold conversation. And so I guess I'm just giving him the same energy he's given me, I suppose, which I
Yeah.
think is key. Like, a lot of times when you're talking to somebody, when you're talking to these people that have lots of money that they want to spend on these, whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Typically, they know what they want. They're going to tell you, and like, you just you want to help them get what they want, but you don't want to be like this, like, go for, yeah, anything you want, I can do it, just tell me, because they're just not going to respect you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where if, like, I was telling this guy, like, yeah, I'm a business owner too, we got employees, like, this is what it is, and here, I'm kind of giving it back to him respectfully. Now we're on the same level, and he's like, oh, okay, cool, like, I can trust this guy. He seems like he knows what he's talking about. And
Yeah.
so it went from $33 a month to 80 grand a year in one conversation. He's like, really, we could do that? And I was like, oh, okay. Um, and so I'm like, in my head though, I'm like, how does an for the size of their business, I'm like, how does an IUL make sense? So anyway, what happened was we went back and forth through email. I ended up sending him a Loom video. I'm like, you could structure it like this, like, trying to figure out, because I still don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. Like, we're supposed to get on another call. And so we jump on another call, and I find out that through a different broker, they're pricing out like 15 million in term a piece. That's really what they need for a
Mm.
business loan that they're getting. I'm like, oh, okay. So he's like, really? Yeah, if we could keep the IULs to 80 grand a year, 20 a piece for four owners, and we're looking at this term as well. So I was like, oh, so there's more out on the table. So we go back and forth about the IUL. He's got to take it to the board. So here's the next lesson I learned. Right, when you're dealing with regular, Mr. John Lead, he's a consumer. He's got to think about it. Talk to his wife sometimes. Does he want it? Does he not want it? The guy I was talking to, his job was to get the insurance for this company. He's a buyer. So there was no, like, it was like, this is what I
No
want.
haggling.
Can you get it for me? Here's what we're going to spend. And either I can or I can't. right?
Yep.
And so uh, end up kind of figured out what he wanted, and then I was like, hey, do you want me to quote you on the term as well? Because he had told me somebody else did. And so I went around and got like the cheapest $15 million 10-year term I could find. And he's like, yeah, if you're going to do that, we can keep it at like 160 or something like that. And so it blew my mind how it went from, $3 grand a month, 36 grand a year, to like it just kept going up every time, and I'd find out a little bit more of the conversation, a little bit more of the needs, a little bit more, and then finally I had the whole picture, and it ended up, we submitted 8 policies for a key man deal for right about, it was a little shy of, 250 an annual premium. And it took, they had to meet with all the guys, so it took from June to October, and it was like 42 emails, how many ever text messages. We met like 5 times. It never put me off, always responded. It was just, several layers of decision making, and then, of course, we got the deal. So,
Yeah.
the main thing is like sticking with it, you know, having maybe not all the pieces figured out, but knowing where you can go to the resources. I remember I had to call a bunch of carriers and ask about, different structures for key man versus buy sell and yada yada yada. Um, and then just not messing it up, right? So I have a story about that, but any other things that you would add to yours?
I mean, I think you nailed it right on the head with everything. It's like because like once you do one, they're all pretty similar. We all have the same kind of conversations about it. It's just you wouldn't have gotten to that point, and I wouldn't have gotten to that point without what I like using analogies like you have an onion, and when you're
Yeah,
peeling back the onion, you're getting clearer and clearer on what the outcome is going. And nothing's changed. It's just a shell, but
yeah.
you're peeling one layer off and seeing more value that they might be looking for that you would have never gotten otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about like annuities, for example.
Yeah,
I've written the most annuities I ever have this year.
same.
Not anything crazy, but before I just didn't ask the questions. I was so focused on, let me get my final expense sale, let me get my mortgage protection sale and get off the phone. I just didn't ask the questions, and shame on me for not going further and figuring out what the scenario was. Um, even when we first got into IULs, I would zoom to like, oh, it's got to be max funded and it's got to be set up the perfect way. I would, not find out about their other retirement accounts and, what's going on and do they have life insurance, and I walked over a ton of money just to grab my little sale. Um, but when I say don't mess it up, like as salespeople and agents, we can just get in our own way, and we want to sound fancy, and we want to use big words so we can pat our ego, and you can just screw up so many sales. Sometimes you just need to shut up and like sign the dotted line. So I remember I had the meeting. We had the 4 guys on Zoom. They're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. They actually did Google Meet. So, they're fancy. They Google Meets, right? I was
Yeah.
like, what kind of? So we get on, and they're in a big boardroom, and then I'm on. I brought one of my agents because we're filling out all these applications, and we basically, I get on, and I'm like, hey, is everybody on the same page, or do I need to go through anything? And I was like, here's why I was told we're doing this. Here's the coverages. Here's the prices. And I explained everything in like 5 minutes. And I was like, before we start, filling out applications, any questions? There was like 1 or 2 questions, and I was like, all right, let's get to it. It took like 2 hours, to get through every application. There was 8 of them, and we get it done. And the agent I brought with me, he's like, oh man, I thought you were gonna like go into like why this and why that and explain this and explain that. I'm like, well, like I hadn't met with the 4 owners. I'd met with like their guy in charge, but I'd sent him everything. They had gone through it. I'd sent them videos and everything. Like we weren't there for the Josh presentation show. We were there to get business done. And so, yeah, it's going to be a long time for underwriting. We're going to go through all that. And if they have questions, they can hit me up. But like I was there to get the job done, and then these, if you're dealing with successful people that make a lot of money, they're busy. So if you sit there and you have 30 minutes to get a deal done and you take an hour, they're going to be like, yo, I got to go. And then who knows when you're going to get them back
Yeah.
because, this might just be the one time. So like when it's time to actually do a deal, like stop talking, head down, get it done, and don't mess it up, right? Like don't over
Yep.
talk. Don't try to be extra fancy. Just do the job. So I think that's like every bigger deal I've done, like that's like the always thing. It's like, okay, now it's time
Kiss
to,
analogy.
yeah, keep it simple. So now I will say, right, my least favorite part of doing these big deals is all the paperwork. There's going to be a ton of extra paperwork. So like, if you're the guy out there that's just burning and turning final expense, or you're right, or whatever the thing is, and you're writing 10, 15 apps a week and you're just jamming, like you're going to do one of these and you're going to be like, this is awesome. And then you're going to be like, oh, I got a financial supplement and I got 4 applications, and the companies are emailing me that they need an EKG, and then we got to schedule the exam ones, and then why did you take that medicine back in
Yeah.
2017, and there's lots of stuff and coordination, and so you again have to be on point and organized to be able to do that, or else what's going to happen is you're going to let a few extra days go by, and they're going to be like, hey, did that get turned in? Is that done? And if you're not on point, like that's just going to look bad on you, and you could still blow the deal after you got it signed.
hmm Because if you're on point, then you can hold the client who's not on point accountable. And so you always want to make sure you're on track because if you slip once, you probably say goodbye to that deal.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, like I don't know how many fully, like some people don't rate fully underwritten at all.
Oh, quite a
How,
bit.
how many fully underwritten deals have you written where they just never got around to doing the exams and stuff?
Oh, quite a bit. I had a most recent one actually. Excuse me, he was from New York. Here we go.
There you
So
go.
we're doing New York one, and it was a term. And he already has a couple policies with me, but he wanted a one very specifically, and so we had to do NLG. And that one, I just for some reason all of a sudden, no matter how much we texted or called him, it just 3, 4 months went by, never heard from him. And then out of the blue, I texted him yesterday. I was like, Tony, dude, what's up, man? Like, your stuff's canceled because you didn't get our medical done. And he
Yeah.
goes, oh, dude, I've been trying to get a hold of you. My phone got lost in the ocean. I just got one. I'm like, it took you 3 months to get that? That's like me flying Frontier. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Now that Dylan's, made a sale, he can go from Frontier to,
maybe Southwest,
maybe Southwest. Eventually he'll get to Delta. My goodness.
Yeah,
Um,
eventually.
yeah. So again, some really, really, we just wanted to get on and talk about it, right? Like these deals are out there. These were not, we didn't go looking for this. We weren't doing anything different. I think the main thing is you have a constant healthy lead flow. When I say healthy, a lot. Like I don't know, what do you spend on leads a month?
Right now, not much. I think only like 4 or 5, but on the
Four or
on the peak
five.
when I'm really ramping, like 10.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just volume game.
yeah, exactly. And so if you're doing enough volume and consistent enough, like these things are going to pop up. So that's number one. Number two is like being thorough, asking good questions, doing like just not leaving things unturned, right? So if you're, whether you're doing final expense mortgage section, asking about, you know, retirement accounts you have, asking about other policies, seeing what their situation is. Do they have debt? Do they have a mortgage? Figuring these things out. And then when it does pop up, just asking the questions and not being shy about it. Um, and you don't care, right? You might sometime, I don't know, it might go sideways. You might blow a deal here and there, but like if you don't ask, you don't get either.
Yep.
So that'd be a second thing is just, going into every call, like this could lead to something big. Most time it doesn't, but if you're always open to that, then you will run into it. And then, educate, at least educating yourself on all these different kinds of policies, these different kinds of structures. Do you have to be an expert? No. You just need to know they exist at least and where to get the information. And then
Well,
lastly is just don't do anything stupid to mess it up.
yeah, just don't over talk. I think to touch on what you just said, I think the biggest thing, and I don't, uh, I feel like agents nowadays just don't understand that like there's so many resources out there now. Like you
Yeah.
don't know something, you can Google it. If you don't know how to do an illustration, we have every agent care has a hotline you could physically call into to have them
Mm-hmm.
structure and walk you through an illustration of how to do exactly what you're trying to do for the client.
Yeah.
And we overcomplicate everything,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
got, I got, I didn't write it through NLG, but I talked to NLG and they got me in touch with like their advanced markets, and we talked about, key man versus buy sell versus executive bonus and the different structures and da 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 da, and like it was very helpful.
Yeah.
That's all available. You just have to pick up the phone. You have to go to YouTube. Like you have to ask questions. Um, you know, um, don't private message Dylan.
I get that a lot actually. It's
Yeah,
really funny.
yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
and then I was like, yeah, I can help you, but you can also, if you're waiting for me to call you because I'm busy, you can call a carrier,
Yeah, he's trying to find
Uh,
his next deal.
yeah, I mean, I do it all the time. I'm sure you do. And I don't know about you, but like how I got to this point is I just, like you said, do all the research you can and just don't be afraid. Just have the conversations. And as you're failing, just go back and be like, what could I have done differently on this phone call to have a different outcome? And
Yeah.
you're not going to get every single one of them. There's plenty of deals I don't get or never
Oh,
hear back from and
for
stuff,
sure. For
And those are the
sure.
fun ones though.
Now, last thing is you use Lead Champ.
Yeah.
There was one little integral piece where Lead Champ really helped me out. Obviously, it didn't sell the deal for you or anything like that, but was there any part of it that it helped make any part of it easier?
Um, so the lead came in and it was booked like right away, so it helped that. So it was actually self-booked, I think, which was phenomenal that he showed up because we all know self-booked appointments are probably like,
Yeah.
almost as bad as trying to make sure you get home on time from a Frontier flight. Um, can you tell there's a little animosity with that?
Yeah.
Um, but with Lead Champ, it helped me tremendously by taking the brunt work of having to go to the carrier, pull all the reports, the information, and just that is so tedious of its own. It's like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what you gotta do for illustrations. And
Oh
instead, I
yeah.
just put the information, send it in, and then it's in their email box, and then it drips on them. The process while it's in underwriting. If I have any questions, it helps me keep on track a little more than I
Yeah,
am
for
now.
love that. So mine was also self-booked, and then he didn't
Nice,
confirm, so the confirmation message went out, he didn't confirm. He got the little boy meme and he still didn't confirm. And so I used the Send Blue to send him a voice memo through the CRM, and he responded to that and then confirmed and then showed up. So
nice.
that you know that was a pretty cool thing that I was able to do that. And so without that, he may not have shown up, and we might even be talking about it right now. So that was pretty cool. So if anybody wants to check out LeadChamp Pro, leadchamppro.com, you can go check out a demo, hit us up. But Dylan, appreciate you hopping on, man. And I'm going to be doing the everything crossed, underwriting dance to make sure that one goes through for you.
Me too, me too. But hey, what I've been telling people is even if it doesn't go through, that's completely fine because I'm at least happy and blessed that I was able to have the conversation. Because now it's just a matter of time until one actually goes. So,
Absolutely. All right.
but
Appreciate it, brother.
yeah, you too, man.